Shocking footage from a field in the war-torn Donetsk region shows the moment a stationary Russian tank was targeted by one of Ukraine's specialist bomb-laden drones. In the short clip, the kamikaze FPV munition drone drops onto the formidable military motor before a blast erupts. Within an instant, the tank is engulfed by bright orange flames as pieces of shrapnel are sent soaring through the air in hundreds of tiny pieces. Smoke billows through the air as the thunderous sound of the explosion was heard for miles. The tank's turret was hit by the drone, which led to the immediate catastrophic ammunition detonation, claimed the original social media post showing the video. It comes as spectacular footage showed Kyiv's fierce determination, as more kamikaze drones were seen blowing up Russian tanks in another blow to Putin's failing forces. The drones reduced the hodgepodge Frankenstein tanks into a fiery wreckage and reducing them to debris and melted metal. As Vlad's efforts get desperate by the minute, the warmonger has been forced to build Frankenstein tanks with aging naval guns welded on top. Images have emerged of the crudely engineered vehicles being deployed in Ukraine, revealing that a humiliated Putin lost almost all of the tanks he had when he began his brutal invasion. Footage from an unnamed location appeared to show a 25mm 2M3 twin-barreled naval anti-aircraft turret mounted on a Soviet-era MTLB amphibious battle vehicle. The odd device is thought to have been constructed from equipment pieces from 1945. Its cannons were most likely taken from a naval patrol boat, and its tracks could date back to the 1950s. The Frankenstein tanks are believed to be an improvised response to the Kremlin's shortage of essential war materials. Putin has lost almost 8,000 tanks since his horror invasion of Ukraine, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The total number of Putin's troops killed since the tyrant invaded Ukraine is now well above 500,000, according to the ministry. Ukrainian forces are now said to have killed 512,120 Russian troops and destroyed 15,020 armored combat vehicles and 13,245 artillery pieces since the start of the war. Ukraine has also been short of troops, ammunition, and air defenses in recent months. The Kremlin's forces are continuing to try and cripple the national power supply and punch through the front line in eastern parts of the country. The war has cost tens of thousands of lives on both sides, including more than 11,000 Ukrainian civilians, according to the United Nations. While Ukraine has looked to Western countries, Russian President Vladimir Putin has turned to nations such as Iran and North Korea for help. Fighting along the roughly 620-mile front line has in recent months focused on the partly occupied Donetsk region of eastern Ukraine, where Russian forces are trying to reach the key hilltop city of Chasiv Yar and other strategic hubs. Ukrainian troops are preparing for any scenario in the south of the country's Kharkiv region, Kyiv's military insists, after Ukrainian sources warned Russia is preparing to launch a new push across the border from the eastern Luhansk region. Kyiv's fighters are ready for any scenario and development, Lieutenant Colonel Nazar Voloshin, a spokesperson for Ukraine's Kortitsia grouping of forces in the east of the country, told Newsweek on Thursday. Deep State, a popular Ukrainian war blog, said on Tuesday that Russia was accumulating around 10,000 soldiers and 200 artillery systems close to the Kharkiv village of Borova. Borova sits west of the Russian-controlled Luhansk city of Svatove, south of the Kharkiv settlement of Kupiansk. It was swept under Russian control in Moscow's initial invasion push in early 2022, but Ukrainian forces retook Borova as part of Kyiv's counteroffensive in October of that year. The Center for Defense Strategies, a Ukrainian think tank, said on Wednesday that Russia's army was supported by special forces and private military company units attempting to capture Borova. The term private military company has typically been shorthand for mercenary forces fighting in the war in Ukraine. Ukraine's 3rd Separate Assault Brigade said on Tuesday that Russia was hoping to capture the Kharkiv village of Chernishchina and Pershotravnev, a settlement north of Chernishchina just over the border of the Luhansk region. Moscow would then advance onto Borova, the brigade said. Russian forces, along with armored vehicles and artillery, were using first-person view, FPV drones, guided aerial bombs and chemical weapons, the brigade added in post-to-messaging app Telegram. The enemy is sending entire platoons and companies of personnel to storm our positions. In early May, Russia launched a new cross-border offensive into the north of the Kharkiv region, while Ukraine warned Moscow hoped to divide up and overstretch Kiev's resources and claim gains in the eastern Donetsk region. Russia quickly gained a smattering of settlements along 2 chunks of the border. Moscow's pushes focused around the village of Liptsy, within around 20 miles of the regional capital, Kharkiv city, and the border city of Vovchansk. Ukraine then reported intensified fighting in Donetsk, with Russia making small but steady gains along this section of the hundreds of miles of frontline territory. But fighting has continued south of Kupiansk, including just west of the Luhansk cities of Kreminna and Lysychansk.
Револьвер 50